Right then, this is a quick road test video, and this is for a Honda Civic 1.8 EX. This particular car is registered RV07FZE, and mileage at the start of this road test is 59,095 miles. The reason we do the road tests, as I say in all of them, very simple indeed. We just want customers to see the cars actually in operation prior to coming to see us. That way, if there are any issues with the vehicle and the driver of the car, we will tell you about them straight away. We know, because we've been on receiving end ourselves, having travelled many hours to go and see cars described as good, in a good condition or with no faults, only to find that there's a glaring and obvious fault with the car when we get there. So that's why we do it. So it is critical, and if there's something wrong, I will tell you about it. Starting with the car itself, obviously it's a very low mileage one for the age of the vehicle. Engine starts first pressing the button, because it's push button start on these Civics. Such a lovely sweet engine, very sweet engine note. Idles perfectly, starts absolutely fine straight away, but it's just the sweet nature of the engine. It's so docile in traffic, but got plenty of get up and go, but it's also just got a lovely soundtrack to it. When you put your foot down, it's just got sings and wants to rev. It's a really lovely engine. There's absolutely no warning lights on the dashboard relating to the engine or any other part of the car for that matter. And given the fact that it's just driven for well over an hour to us, it's obviously at maximum operating temperature, and that's running at a third on the temperature gauge, which is exactly where it should be on a Honda car. So engine literally cannot fault it. It's a wonderful example of what is a brilliant engine. If you don't already know, they are cam chain driven, so there's no cam belts on these to worry about either, so no big service looming on them. Engine then feeds through into clutch and gearbox. Clutch on the car bites exactly at the right point. It's smooth in operation, quiet, and exactly where you want it to be. Gearbox in the car, it's just brilliant. It really is. I can't find any wear in it, but if you haven't driven a Civic before, you won't have experienced what is one of the great gearboxes, because it's a mass-produced family car. Honda probably didn't need to make it as good as it is, in all honesty, in terms of the quality of gear change. But it's their attention to detail, and that's why I love them as a company. The gear change is just silky smooth, fingertip. You just slice through the gears. You just guide it. The synchromesh is absolutely brilliant in terms of its quality. And as I said, the point of the video is to pick up on any issues. It feels like I'm driving a new car. That's the feeling of the engine, gearbox, and clutch. It all feels absolutely beautiful. Driving now at the legal limit, nice and quiet in here. Suggests that things like windscreen seals, door seals are all in good order. Just checking the cruise control function, that's working exactly as it should as well, as it pretty much always does on a Honda. And just coming up to the corner, I'm going to give the brakes a bit of a stamp. Just maybe a little bit later than normal. Nice half shove on the brakes, no pulsing, no vibrations. Nice solid pedal, very well modulated on the Civics. Steering on the car is, they are wonderfully direct cars, very quick to change direction, minimal steering required. Track's bullet straight, there's absolutely no vibration coming back through the steering wheel at all, right up to the legal limit. But I can't feel any slack in it, no free play, there's not an ounce of wear in it, just cannot feel anything through the steering at all. It's brilliant, very well weighted, and very, very precise if you want to push on and have a bit of fun in the car. Suspension of the car rides along really, really nicely. No strange noises, not a clank, not a bang, nothing from underneath the car. It's very, very smooth indeed. When these were first made, people criticised them for having a ride that was a bit too hard. But that's really subjective, because corners like this I'll go through deliberately just a little bit quicker than I would do normally. Most cars in this class, you turn in and they'd keel over, they'd roll and they'd flop about. this sits absolutely rock solid through the corners. It just doesn't move around in anything like the same way. So subjectively, passengers aren't getting thrown around so much, so they are more comfortable. And it's all a compromise ultimately. It's, you know, if you want a really soft, pillowy ride that absorbs even the tiniest little bumps, you'll pay for it in the corners and on sort of, you know, undulating roads. This one is wonderfully comfortable on roads like this, very agile. Only kind of the sharp ridges and potholes, you know, jar at all, you know, to any degree, but even that's, you know, is relative. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful setup they've got in the car, but I cannot feel, as with the rest of it, just anywhere in it at all. It feels brilliant. Look around inside the car. I love the interiors on these, I really do, and I know before anyone sort of says otherwise, you know, it's a proper Marmite car. You love them or you don't, simple as that, and I think it's all the better for it. I think it's a work of genius. I think you're sitting in a car which is meant to be just hurling the sort of family around from A to B, but actually doubles up as a really interesting, fun car to drive as well. So much so you're sitting in effectively kind of like a cockpit area, sweeping around you. All the controls, vast majority certainly, fall easily to hand, very easy to understand and operate. But the clever bits are the bits that, you know, some people sort of miss, you know, the point of really, and that's, you know, you've got a really nice high up sat nav screen, so you're not putting your head down to take the information in, you keep your eyes on the road at the same time. And then the best bit of all for me is this two-tier dashboard. I think it is brilliant. So up on top, the main gauge is obviously your speedo. You can clearly see it. I can look ahead at the road ahead, pedestrians, cars coming the other way, anything at all, but still register the speed at the corner of my eye ever so clearly. It's brilliant, just absolutely brilliant. We've also got a little rev indicator and a chronometer up there as well. Then further down we've got a more conventional, for want of a better word, binnacle, which has kind of like a floating dial feel to it, where you've got a big dominating rev counter, and inserted into the middle of that an information display system, and then your normal gauges for fuel and temperature on either side of that. But it just works so well. Very well built, of course, as you'd expect from Honda. Brilliant driving position, very, very easy to get comfortable in them as well. But everything working exactly as it should. You know, it's a joy to drive. It really is. You know, when you get so many dull and sterile cars, and you can get in a car like this, which is, you know, it's, let's say its main purpose is just family use, and yet they've actually made it fun. So the point of the video was to pick up any issues with the vehicle, and I genuinely, and not for want of trying, I can't find anything that merits a mention at all. It drives sensationally well, this car. It's been very well looked after, and that's absolutely obvious as soon as you drive it. However, if I've missed something on the road test, obviously don't hesitate, give us a call and I'll answer any questions you might have.